This video brought to you by Prehistoric Scenes at prehistoricscenes.net. Hello everyone, John here with a big Prehistoric Scenes announcement. Now fair warning, this video might be a little bit on the long side because there's a lot of material to cover, but stick with me, I promise it'll be worth it. As many of you know, for the last 2 or 3 years I've been working to revive Prehistoric Scenes. And finally, I can announce that I'm ready to release the first 2 kits. I'm going to be doing this through a Kickstarter campaign that is starting on Tuesday, August 25th. In this campaign, the 2 kits I'm releasing are the original Neanderthal man kit with some updates and add-ons, and for the new line of Prehistoric Scenes, I'm releasing the Austroraptor. So, let's talk about how we got here, why I'm doing this, and how I plan to move forward. Getting here has been quite the journey. Now, as a kid, I loved Prehistoric Scenes kits. I think I got my first one when I was 7. It was the flying reptile pteranodon, molded in that bright orange plastic and the compelling box art. I was absolutely enthralled. And I went on to get some of the other kits. Unfortunately, I didn't get the whole collection, but I got a bunch of them. Sadly, as happens in life, those kits of my youth were lost to time. A few years ago, I decided I was going to get back into Prehistoric Scenes, but this time I was going to collect them all. Fast forward a few years, and a few $1,000s later, I managed to acquire the complete collection and build it. While I was doing that, I also managed to collect some of the other manufacturers of prehistoric themed kits and build those, and learned a lot. So it occurred to me as I'm going through this process that with the technologies of 3D scanning and 3D printing, it should be possible today to archive and preserve these kits so that 100 years from now, somebody else can enjoy them. So I set out to do exactly that. And in doing so, address a number of problems that I found along the way. Over the course of collecting and building all of these kits, I've identified a number of things that I wanted to do and a whole bunch that I didn't want to do in the kits I'm producing. So let's talk about that. Now, I've built about 200 to 300 kits over my lifetime, I think, which sounds like a lot, but really it's not. There are people who've built way more than I have. That being said, what I've gained from that experience is I've seen some problems that I definitely want to avoid. One of the things, and this is more collecting related, that I want to fix is the cost. Now, on eBay recently, I saw a Tyrannosaurus Rex kit in original box for $1,800. I want to say I saw one sell for is either $2,500 or $5,000. Just insane. All right. I myself have purchased mine, as much as I hate to admit it, for about like $900. So the prices on eBay are really, really steep, and I don't want to do that to people. So with producing the kits in 3D resin, they're going to be a lot more reasonable than that. Now, 3D resin printing costs, okay, it's not dirt cheap, but you know, you've got that in the box and the 3D scanning and all the other things that go into it. So it's not going to be super cheap, but it's going to be way more reasonable than what you're going to get out on eBay. All right, let's talk about seam lines and mold lines. I have met no one who enjoys mitigating seam lines and mold lines. Now, fortunately with 3D printing, you can avoid a lot of seam lines and mold lines. This is a test shot of the Neanderthal man. And where on the original model, there's a long straight seam line on the arm, one on the body, another one on the legs. It's a lot of work to get that cleaned up. So I've reduced that by doing 3D printing. The one seam line that I've got that I really can't avoid, because you want to be able to choose how you pose this before you glue it in. And so the shoulder seam line here, there is a seam line there. All right. The other thing that you might have to do to mitigate, and depending upon how we angle this may be less of a problem, but sometimes you'll get support nubs from the 3D printing process. So there may be some like that, but nothing as egregious as what you might get or have seen in the injection molded kits. All right, let's talk about nameplates. I love nameplates. All right, like this guy here. It's like having your own personal museum. Love these things, and I feel cheated when a kit doesn't come with them. So, as much as I love them, there is a problem, and that is they're usually in one piece. So you've got the border and you've got the background. The lettering is tough enough. You got to get really good at doing the fine brushing of the lettering. But the border is a challenge because you have to mask off the border, and it doesn't always mask off right. And then you got to fix it, and it's a pain. So the nameplates that I'm going to be doing are in two pieces. There's a border piece and a background piece. So you can paint the border separately and then glue it to the background. All right, let's talk about, and this is really a problem with the Neanderthal man kit. It's not I don't see it much with the other kits, but with the Neanderthal man kit, this is the box art, okay? And this is the kit built with the base, and I've got one more over here. Let me grab it. And you can see the two leg poses don't look anything like our box art, nor does the base. Well, I thought that needed to be fixed. So the Neanderthal man that I'm doing will come with a third set of legs. So you'll get the original legs, but then there's this third set of legs where he's standing like the box art. There is also, to match the box art, you notice that the base didn't have, let me grab one again. Base didn't have the cliff, all right? And I really wanted this to match the box art. So this is a test shot that was done. They sent it to me wrong. It is since being fixed. But this is the new base that's going to have the cliff face. So you'll have this in addition to the original base. So there's this cliff face that will match the original art. Okay. Now, let's talk about scale. These came in 1/13 scale, and I love those big 1/13 scale kits. All right, I mean, look at them. I love my big Tyrannosaurus Rex here. Love this guy. All right. I love that he's big. He just stands out. But that's a lot of shelf real estate. And not everybody has the room for that. So I'm doing 3 scales. I've got the original 1/13th scale. I've got the 1/24th scale and the 1/35th scale. Now, in the 1/35th scale, a lot of other prehistoric theme model kits come in that 1/35th scale. So if you've got a bunch of those, you could get a Prehistoric Scenes kit to match that scale. The 1/24th scale is kind of a happy medium, because in the 1/35th scale, like our Neanderthal man is going to be a little teeny tiny. But in the 1/24th scale, he's going to be a little bit larger. So that was a happy medium. So we got 3 scales that you can get your kits in. So those are some of the problems I wanted to address moving forward into the new kits. So now we're finally getting to the part that you've probably been waiting for, and that's the model kits themselves. I've incorporated a number of features into this. Now, in remaking the Neanderthal man kit, I kind of thought about it the way you might think about remakes of movies. You know, you don't want to remake a movie exactly the way that it was before. You want to see something new. You want something to be brought to the table. And that's exactly what I've done. So in addition to the original Neanderthal man kit, there are going to be some new features. But let's talk about the features that are going to be common to both the Neanderthal man and the Austroraptor. Again, talked about reduced seam lines and eliminated mold lines. Talked about multiple scales, 1/13th, 1/24th, 1/35th. Talked about the 2-part name plates. Something I haven't talked about before is the backdrop and backdrop holders. Because to me, when you build these kits and you put them on the shelf, it's not just a little thing that you put on your shelf. This is like your own personal museum. It's the museum of, I made that. And it's something you want to be proud of. And it's something that you want, ideally, to tell a story. So to support that, I am creating backdrops for both of the kits, as well as backdrop holders that match the environment. All right. Similarly, in addition to the regular nameplates, which there'll be 2-part nameplates, there's also going to be an environmentally themed nameplate, if you will. It's going to match the environment of that model. For the Neanderthal man, it's rocky like the cliff face. For the Austroraptor, it more fits a forest environment. So, those are some of the new features. Now, each model I'm going to build for it its own website. And on that website, of course, you're going to have kit information. You're going to have the educational resources. You're going to have, links both educationally and I've got, like, on the Neanderthal man, I built 2 of these already, so you're going to see videos of how those were painted and other resources as they come available. So that's something that wasn't around before. So let's talk, before I forget. So there are going to be 2 versions of the kits. The first version is the premium version. That's going to have everything, okay? All the features I just mentioned. Then you're going to have the budget version. And I'm doing the budget version because some people, they don't care about the box art. They don't care about all the extras. They just want the basic kit. And so I'm going to be producing a pared down version of both kits. So it won't have the box art, it won't have the instructions, it won't have the add-ons. It's just the basic kit in a plain brown package. For those who are either more budget oriented or just don't care about all the extras. All right, let's talk specifically about the Neanderthal man. It's going to have all the things that the original Neanderthal man had. It's going to have 3 sets of legs, and we talked about legs earlier. It's going to be the 2 original legs and the 3rd set of legs that match the box art. It's going to have 2 bases, the original base and the new base with the cliff face. And it's going to have 3 nameplate options. All right, we talked about the environmental one. It's going to have the original, but then it's also going to have one that's got the scientific, I believe it's called a binomial name, the Homo neanderthalensis. So you'll have 3 possible nameplate options. Okay, I'm going down my list here. So with the Neanderthal man, for those who may have the original Neanderthal kit, but want the new extras, there's going to be an add-on set that's going to include the new set of legs, the new base, the backdrop and backdrop holders, and the new nameplates. It's not going to have any of the original stuff. It's just going to be the new extra stuff. So if you already have, the original Neanderthal man kit at home, but you want to do it like the box art, I've got you covered. All right. On the Austroraptor, all right, it's going to have 2 Austroraptor figures. In fact, I'm going to show this real quick. Because this is, whoops. All right. These guys are big, by the way. This is a big kit. So we got 2 Austroraptor figures. Not 1, but 2. One with a fish in his mouth. Okay. So it's going to come with 2 figures. It's also going to have, it'll have a diorama base like many of the Prehistoric Scenes kits do, but it's got 2 base options. So there is a base option that, let's see if I can pull one down. Here you go. So in the original Prehistoric Scenes, like this is from the jungle swamp, and it's got water, but it's just one piece. It's nothing. It's just a flat water thing there. So what the second base option will allow you, because the first base option is just going to be flat water, but then the second base option, it goes down from the bank and down, so you can do something like this. Now this is a water effect. I don't know how well this is going to show up on camera, but you can do a resin pour water effect, and there will be little fish that you can have in the water, and there'll be reeds, so you can do a water effect. It'll have both the nameplates, the basic one as well as the environmental one, and it'll have the backdrop and backdrop holders. So those are the features that are going to be in the new kits. Real quick, I want to talk about instructions and packaging. So I have been working on getting some really nice instructions here for us. So let's look at these. First, the Neanderthal man. It's got the artwork, of course, and then an educational blurb. Inside has got the instructions on how to build it. But one of the things that also comes with is a parts map. And as I was going back through and building all of these kits, one of the things I really appreciated was having a parts map. On the back, I'm going to have some information about painting suggestions. And of course, it's your model. Build it how you like, but never hurts to have some painting examples. And then there's the credits for all the different people who worked on this. With the Austroraptor, same thing. We've got our artwork. We've got our educational blurb. We've got our instructions with the parts map. And on this one, yes, we've got the credits. Yes, this is where we're going to have the painting suggestions. But also here we have something on how to do the water resin effect, or it talks about the water resin effect. So those are the instructions. Let's talk about packaging, because this has been an adventure unto itself. All right, so there are definitely spelling things that have been since corrected, but this is the 1/13 scale kit. The 1/24 and 1/35 will be smaller successively. Here's the front, and here's the back. And I'll show you the sides here real quick. Again, our educational blurb there, and kits in production. Just like the original Prehistoric Scenes had a little thing on the side where you could see the other kits that were being produced. And let's talk about, here's the Austroraptor box. Again, the 1/24 will be smaller and the 1/35 scale box will be even smaller. But here's our kit. Here's the back. And this will have, these are blank right now, but they will have examples, photos of the actual model. Here's one side with our educational blurb. And again, with the kits in production. And they're back here. So, one other thing. So, and I will admit, I went a little overboard on packaging. But this is the mailer bag that these will come in. It was a little extra thing I wanted to do, and I think it's a nice presentation because, let's be honest, at least to me, the experience of the kit, yeah, it's the kit itself, but it's also the instructions. It's also the box art. It's the box itself and how you receive the kit. So I'm paying particular attention to make sure that's the best experience possible. All right, let's talk about some other products that I'm going to be doing here. So in addition to the kits, I've got some promotional items that maybe if you decide that you're not ready to do the kit, but you want to support what I'm doing, I've got stuff covered for you. So let's start with, I've got just two of these magnet sets. These are the original box art images, and there are only two of them. I made these a while back and had just two left. Then we've got, I have 6 of these mugs with the original artwork, and I've got 2 new magnets. The first is our Neanderthal man, the box art there, and then we have the Austroraptor. And I'll have 5 of them, I think. I'll see. Something that I will show this, but I don't think these are ready for prime time yet, so I probably will not include these in the campaign. But that is, hang on a second here, let me get one. It's better. Yeah, this will work. Trading cards. Okay. Let me get a better one here. Yeah, so we've got these trading cards. I'm still working out stuff with these. The Neanderthal man and Austroraptor. This is a little something I'm tinkering with, but it still needs work. So this probably won't be part of this campaign. But those are the promotional products. Again, if you're not ready to get a kit for whatever reason, but you want to support what I'm doing, here's a way to do it. Thank you for making it this far into the video. I know that was a lot of material, and I really appreciate you sticking through to the end. So to sum it all up, my goal with Prehistoric Scenes is preservation and perpetuation. I want to 3D scan all of these kits, and I've already got the Neanderthal man, so I've got 16 more kits, so it may take me a few years to get done with this. But then I will archive that so that 100 years from now, somebody else can enjoy Prehistoric Scenes. I also want to perpetuate Prehistoric Scenes, and I'm doing that. The first step is the Austroraptor, where I include all the features that made the original Prehistoric Scenes kit special and expand upon those, especially in the educational aspect. I want to foster the idea of the personal museum because, like I said, when we put these on our shelves, we're not just throwing them on there. That is our personal museum. And I want to make kits that are worthy of being part of somebody's personal museum. To that end, I'm going to take all the experience I've had building and collecting these kits and apply it to the kits that I'm going to produce. And that means I want to make the optimal Prehistoric Scenes kits. I've joked with my girlfriend that I want to be the Jiro Ono of prehistoric themed model kit production. And if you don't know who Jiro Ono is, he is this incredible Michelin star sushi chef in Japan, and he's just incredible. Look him up. But yeah, I want to be so good that people can't ignore me. All right, so before I close this out, there were a couple of features I forgot to mention earlier in the video, so I'm going to do it real quick right now. These features are going to come with the premium kits. And the first is this little guy here. So when you got a Prehistoric Scenes kit, it came with a nameplate, which is awesome. I love nameplates. But it just laid flat. It didn't have any kind of stand or anything to hold it. So I've created a nameplate holder. And because otherwise it just lays flat. That's not fun. All right, the next thing I want to talk about, and I don't have one of the examples from the kit yet, but that is a test model. So this is just going to be for the 1/13th scale kits. They're going to come with a 1/35th scale of the same subject. What I often do, like you see this Allosaurus over here, I will take a toy version and paint it up to test my paint job. And so for you, the builder, if you get the 1/13th scale kit, it will come with a 1/35th scale version that you can put together and paint and test your paint job before you do the actual kit. Similarly, part of my process, and this is just me, is I used to do just sketches and drawings, but I now actually am doing paintings of the subject. All right, this is the Austroraptor, and here's the Neanderthal man. And example, here's the a couple of the Austroraptor paintings that I've done. And I do this, again, because I want to test my paint job. And so I find that this is a really good way to do that. So I'm going to have these available so that you, the builder, can test your paint job on this as well. So those are that's the rest of the extras that are going to come with the premium kits, and particularly the 1/13 scale kit. All right, so I think that's most, if not all, the information. I'm probably forgetting something. Again, I'm really excited about the upcoming Kickstarter campaign. It kicks off Tuesday, August 25th. I'll be posting more information and a shorter pitch video. Again, those usually have to be about 3 minutes. So not this infomercial that I've just done. So thank you so much for sticking with me, and I look forward to seeing you on the Kickstarter campaign. Thank you.